All right. Hello, everyone, and now welcome to a game between Moon versus WFZ. This game taking place here on Terranistan. Over here on the top left-hand side of the map, we have Moon spawning as the Red Night Elf, opening up with the Altar of Elders, most likely following it up with an Ancient of War. Meanwhile, down to the south, we have WFZ spawning as the Blue Undead. Now, I'm just remembering, like, this time 1 year ago, if I had said, one day you guys will miss seeing the Demon Hunter in a Night Elf matchup, you would have called me crazy. But it really seems like, well, times have changed and how temporal we are, as people have just moved on to their favorite new hero to complain about, the Keeper of the Grove. We'll see if Moon does go for that Keeper of the Grove. And one thing to note, Moon is actually more scarlet than red, or more crimson, for anyone who wants to notice their colors a little bit, be a little bit more descriptive. It is going to be a Death Knight going up against a Keeper of the Grove. No big surprises there, as things are now well underway. A couple of things to note. Moon will most likely be building additional moonwells early on to try and fill up those moonwells from nightfall. Meanwhile, Undead, there have been, well, rather unusual strategies lately. Acolyte rushes, because Acolytes heal so quickly while on Blight. This was one of the ways to try and, well, slow down the amount of harassment that happened on an Undead base. You would have thought that an upgraded tier 2 cold tower as their main building, cold towers and towers off of their ziggurats would have been enough. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case, and they thought to themselves, you know what, Acolytes need a little bit more as well. So I'm only complaining because very rarely do human players try and, well, harass Undead units unless it's with some sort of blizzard or stormbolt or something to that effect, which pretty much makes all of that regeneration a moot point. All right, quickly, nicely done. Death Knight being brought over with that lightning shield. A quick detonation though, and that is now a problem. The Death Knight is now surrounded by multiple units. You can see he's taking those purges, as the Death Knight now does have a potion of greater mana. Forest Troll Shadow Priest is out onto the field. A lot of frost armor has been cast by multiple units. Mantle of Intelligence will be picked up. That Wisp with that detonation did end up causing a bit of problems. Keeper of the Grove with some Ents now making their way out. Gonna go ahead and try and clear out this, well, natural expansion location. Moon, the 5th race, has been known to expand relatively aggressively, and Terranistan is a map that does allow for heavy expansions. We'll see if Moon will be able to get that Keeper of the Grove to level 6, or how this particular game will play out, as the Death Knight already at level 2. As we transition into the early mid-game, we're going to be taking a look at these players just try and poke each other around and figure out what the other players are trying to do. They're just trying to create openings and be able to trade efficiently. Death Knight wants to make sure that it is not easy for his opponent. Death Knight unable to get that Death Coil off. Archer does have a little bit of magic resistance right there. Skeletal minions, and beautifully done. Beautifully done right there. However, well, a Cloak of Shadows being used by the Keeper of the Grove. Normally, Night Elf heroes do not have Shadow Meld. Who knew that that would have been the big difference there? All right, a big detonation, but beautifully handled once again by WFZ. WFZ making sure and knowing that his opponent was perhaps going to be trying to do exactly what we saw there. Detonate to save that Keeper of the Grove. He repositioned all of his ghouls and shifted it so that it was a 4 ghoul surround after skeletal minion surround, so to speak. Keeper of the Grove has used up a lot of mana from those moonwells already. You can see one of them is pretty much bone dry. All of them are now currently getting refilled back up, and it seems like the Death Knight did the damage that he wanted to do. However, Moon is setting up that expansion right now, and the economic advantage will, well, start to tip in favor of Moon there, as Undead players normally have a difficult time trying to set up an expansion. Death Knight picking up a Claws of Attack +6, still has that Dust of Appearance. Gonna finish off the Apprentice Wizards and now move around once more. Death Knight gonna be shifting back down to the south, perhaps picking up another useful item off of this Rogue Wizard. Hey, I'm glad you got to catch me, but can you explain the latest patch balance, 1.30.3? I haven't actually seen the latest patch balance. I've been trying to read up on all of the notes, but at the same time, NetEase does not follow the same patch notes release schedule as they do on the actual BattleNet server. So I try not to read them all up, because then I get a little bit confused in terms of balance when, you know, the patch notes aren't reflected there yet. Anyways, Ensnare onto a lightning shielded Force of Nature. A little bit of an engagement. However, Death Knight could be perhaps trying to come in from the behind. Is he going to be able to get any damage across any of these units? Perhaps a Death Coil onto a Nightcrawler. However, let's take a look at this back over there. There's a Death Coil. There's the Steel. Picks up the Tome of Intelligence. And now sitting at level 3. Okay, Force Troll Shadow Priest could have easily started to abolish magic to try and take down those Force of Natures. Let's take a look back across over here. It could give a little bit of experience as well, as those Force of Natures are just shifting back over. Meanwhile, back off to the north, Gargoyles being used to try and counter this very, very heavy piercing damage army, surprisingly. Off to the north here, let's take a look. Ghouls attempting to take down an entangled gold mine. Force Troll Shadow Priest is right here as well. Gargoyle shows up to the party. Keeper of the Grove. A lot of trees nearby. Death Coil. Let's take a look as the Force Troll Shadow Priest trying to get away. All right, let's take a look. Trying to catch me live for 6 months. Wow. All right, well, glad you could catch me here as the Keeper of the Grove. Looks like he tried to Staff of Teleportation and then quickly canceled it. Not quite sure what happened there as the Death Knight now out onto the field. Death Knight, Dust of Appearance. He, well, does not realize what happened there as there goes one Forest Troll Shadow Priest. More Forest Troll Shadow Priest could get taken down. Ghouls are getting focused down rather quickly as well. Death Knight could try and go after some more units. Let's take a look. Another Forest Troll Berserker could get taken down right there. There it goes. Keeper of the Grove sitting at level 3, almost at level 4. Has to be careful though. Thank you for the subscription as we take a look as the Wisp getting taken down here. Wisp now trying to run back. Death Coil onto a Force Troll Shadow Priest. That is now getting taken down as more and more units are shifting back away. All right. Archers trying to shift back here. Forces of Nature doing a little bit of a chase. You see an Entangle go down on a Ghoul as Moon is still behind, but should be able to make up that economic difference momentarily. It is 33 supply compared to 41 right now, as after that death of a Ghoul, I believe it was replaced into a Gargoyle instead, as we are also going into Slaughterhouse training. Now, Gargoyles do have 61 to 70 melee damage. The problem with Gargoyles as an anti-air unit, though, is they are in fact melee. So when you're trying to consider them versus Hippogriffs, which are also melee, or rather Hippogriff Riders, and this was actually asked earlier, how come Gargoyles are not a good counter to Hippogriff Riders? Well, once the Hippogriff Riders dismount, you have to deal with a very, very powerful melee attack from the Hippogriffs, and also the piercing damage from those archers. Keeper of the Grove trying to shift back out once more as the Death Knight and the Lich do a little bit of a chase. Taking a look at the Lich and those powerful items, already at plus 15 damage, and this is before the Orb of Corruption has been completed. Is there a backpack upgrade? No. No one going to be delivering an Orb of Corruption this time around, as the Lich, well, surprisingly, will be doing a fair amount of damage. Normally, you take a look at a Ghoul, 12 to 14 damage. That means, what, 13 damage on average. That Lich has plus 15 damage as a base, so normally you wouldn't think the Lich damage is that high, but it does start to add up over time. All right, let's take a look at this. One Archer going to get taken down. Dryads getting taken down. Acid Bomb going up into the air. Multiple Gargoyles getting hit, but the Dryads are really, well, suffering a lot more damage here. Let's take a look. Another Acid Bomb as the Dryads now try to, well, perhaps use a little bit of that slow poison to dance back around. The Gargoyles, however, with a very fast movement speed, able to dish a lot of damage while on the move. Ancient Protector quickly getting taken down. Gargoyles can just hold position over here as you're going to take a look at an Alchemist almost getting taken down to 22 hit points. There it goes. Level 2 now on the Lich. And that Lich doesn't even have the Orb of Corruption. All right, no abolished magics coming in from that. Well, I take it back. One abolished magic coming across there as the Keeper of the Grove, well, tries to shift back and tries to get to safety in those 7 seconds of invulnerability. However, not going to be enough as the Gargoyles and the Obsidian statues, well, perhaps maybe far too much. We should be looking at Destroyers eventually as well. One more volley coming across. Dryad is going to be able to cut that corner and make that distance. No, the Archer and the Dryad both able to flee. And at this point, he may just be saying to himself, you know what? Me chasing those units means that those Gargoyles are not actually engaging. Let me force the fight to be brought to me instead. How do you think Warcraft 3 will change with the remake on the horizon? Well, I personally hope that there will be more attention brought to Warcraft 3. It is a great game with a lot of depth. And unfortunately, with StarCraft 2, because of the multi-unit select in StarCraft 2, it's just turned into one giant death ball on the move. Well, that just doesn't turn into very interesting gameplay for some viewers. All right, let's take a look back across over here. Keeper of the Grove trying to get away. Is he going to be able to get away? Down to 54, down to 41 hit points, down to 7, and is able to survive again. Meanwhile, the Alchemist does have an anti-air attack naturally as we take a look at more and more units getting, well, felled. All right, Dryads. Are they going to be able to get away? More and more focus fire coming across multiple units. Let's take a look. One Dryad there. Another Dryad could get taken down. 52 supply compared to 48. Gargoyles are, well, in the air trying to focus down some units here as the Obsidian statue, well, is pretty much getting ignored at this point. The Obsidian statue also has a very low amount of mana because he's trying to heal so many units. When you go wide with Undead, with a lot of 2 supply units, you end up finding yourself, well, constantly low on mana, and that may actually be one of the reasons why human players are often low on mana. Many of their units are 2 supply units, so you end up trying to heal wide, and, well, that becomes your downfall. All right, Ancient of War. Wisp now trying to get repaired here. Gargoyles, where are they going? Dryad getting taken down. Acid Bomb onto so many of those Dryads again as forces of nature coming back around again. This Obsidian statue has to be very careful. Low on mana. Not going to be able to heal multiple units either. 40 compared to 49. Is Moon going to be able to hold off this attack? 49 supply compared to 43 as the Tree of Life is getting repaired. All right, Alchemist could get taken down. Acid Bomb. Well, nope. The Acid Bomb does go across multiple units again, but the Gargoyles only took out a level 1 Alchemist. So chasing after that Alchemist, the resurrection time is perhaps the biggest setback to trying to take out a level 1 hero. You invested a lot of energy and effort to kill a 700 hit point hero, only to see that it will be back in about 25 seconds. All right, Gargoyles looking to engage again. Dryads are still fighting back around. Moon microing each of those units individually. Let's take a look. Another Dryad getting taken down. And one thing that's important to note is that the Gargoyles are dealing missed damage. When the Gargoyles are attacking in a wave like that, and you do critical damage, there is a little bit of overflow damage that isn't accounted for, and that could become the problem, since most single healing spells will almost be useless. Aura heroes, if they make more like RSC, Aura heroes will be very important. Yeah, well, Aura heroes are already very important, but it's only a 10%, I say only, a 10% boost for every skill level. Let's take a look. Units are now looking to pull back here once more. You're going to look at those, forces of nature still wandering around as Moon is starting to get his feet under him. This economic advantage is starting to take hold, and I don't know if enough real damage has been dealt. All right, Alchemist coming across here, going to do some damage onto multiple units again, and that Acid Bomb with that negative armor causing so many problems. Meanwhile, Dryads are 1-1 upgraded, and that is going to be a problem because that is essentially a 10%, more like a 12% boost in overall hit points. If you guys are wondering about that, please just look for my WarCraft 3 armor video. It is out there. Dryads, forces of nature, not going to making their way across. Destroyer, going to go ahead and back off here. There goes one Dryad, the Destroyer, does devour magic, I believe. Gets a little bit of magic right there. Obsidian statue is trying to stay in the back, but the obsidian statue, this could be a key problem. Not having that unit nearby to keep multiple units alive. That obsidian statue needs to stay alive. Death coil, no. Scroll of Town Portal transferred back over. Staff of Preservation, as all the units are going to go ahead and teleport back out. Beautifully done by WFZ to minimize his losses. The obsidian statue and that lich were near in danger of falling. Instead, what you have is the gargoyle army able to finish off 1 or 2 units before the Scroll of Town Portal actually went off. All right, let's take a look. There goes another. Nope, Wisp does get a detonation instead. Destroyer is out nearby trying to finish off multiple units. He did do a bit of devour magic as well. 2 obsidian statues also healing back up, and with 2 or 3 destroyers out onto the field, the tempo of the game should change significantly. All you need perhaps is 1 more destroyer out onto the field, and what you're going to see is the forces of nature are just going to be constantly devoured and ends up hurting you instead of helping you. There's a Dryad right there. Oh, Death Knight spots it. Is going to be able to finish off this unit here. Let's take a look. We could be looking at a bit of Devour magic. Once again, Death Knight trying to be in that front spot. Alchemist gets up to level 3. As you're going to take a look at the destroyers, they're just going after all of these units. No easy, slow. Lich did not get a Frost Nova across multiple units there. I would have expected it, but not quite yet. As an Acid Bomb hits all of those tightly clumped up gargoyles. Death Knight, Lich, trying to chase down across multiple units. Obsidian statues keeping those units alive as well. As you're going to take a look, wow, 1 Dryad escapes at 19 hit points. And it's almost like you need 1 or 2 more gargoyles to just finish off that volley to destroy that 1 bit of armor, or no, 2 bits of armor, making it difficult for the gargoyles to focus down those dryads. And now Moon is starting to get the lead again. Well, nope, we're back to balance. 49 supply compared to 50. Death Knight, all of those ground units are right here. Let's take a look. Crypt Fiend, what forces of nature are out onto the field. The Destroyer needs to eat all of those trees back up, regenerate some hit points. Meanwhile, you see a burrowed Crypt Fiend right there. Keeper of the Grove falls at level 4. And with that Keeper of the Grove gone, that may be the beginning of the end. Obsidian statues still healing things back up. 46 supply compared to 43. Keeper of the Grove now resurrected, but he's going to have to walk through an undead army, or at least Staff of Teleportation back to get into a good spot. There you have it. Now back in a relatively more safe spot here. Ancient of Wonders will get, well, taken down. Rather low hit point building, even with 7 armor, and taking damage from heroic, piercing, and magic. There it goes. WFZ also looking to get into the expansion race, has a haunted gold mine. Meanwhile, back off to the north here, Lich, Crypt Fiend ready to engage. Lich taking a lot of damage. What's going on here? Are we going to perhaps see some Devour magic? Trying to focus down some of those Dryads. Crypt Fiends could try and engage as well. What is going on here? Burrow on that Crypt Fiend, and he does end up staying alive ever so barely. More forces of nature are joining in, but only 1 single tree right there, so only got 2 trees as opposed to the typical 3 or 4. Yeah, it would have been 3 trees at that point normally. Devour Magic still doing a great job trying to keep all of those units alive and well. Keeper of the Grove trying to get away down to 119 hit points. Is he going to be able to survive? Forced to use a Scroll of Town Portal. And what is happening here as the burrowed Crypt Fiend? Well, regenerating hit points. There are some obsidian statues. The undead army looks rather small. Where are all of the units? It looks like it was a transition back into Crypt Fiends instead, but I would have thought that there was more out onto the field. A single lone Ancient of War being built by Moon at his opponent's base. That is a proxy Ancient of War, so to speak, but it will start to beat up on that entangled gold mine and perhaps cause a bit of problems. Meanwhile, back off to the north here, Dryads able to finish off a Ghoul. Those 2 Dryads, 62 and 74 hit points. Maybe the Ghoul would have done a better job just to try to attack, as the Dryads are now starting to poke apart at the other side again. All right, the Obsidian statues, Crypt Fiends, gonna go ahead and burrow. Not in time. Wow, the burrow takes about a good minute there. Crypt Fiends now back out onto the field. Death Coil saves one of those units. The Dryads are just able to freely attack. Dust of Appearance. There goes another Crypt Fiend there, but the Dryads are falling down as well. Moon down to 46 supply. Burrowing. Lit. Alchemist now down to 279. Has, well, has a potion of lesser invulnerability, forced to use it as the Lich, down to 510 hit points. Death Knight trying to get a little bit more mana up. Crypt Fiends perhaps going to focus down some of those Dryads. There goes another, trying to focus down a little bit more as all of those units are now backing up again. Unburrowed Crypt Fiend comes back out, but WFZ comes away with the victory. Njoka90, thank you for the follow. Hey Willies, how you doing? All right, quick recap there. Moon, I don't think Moon was just expecting gargoyles. If Moon knew that his opponent was going gargoyles, it would have been a much different story. The gargoyles that you saw, it wasn't a very overwhelming victory. Very strong execution. The transition into Crypt Fiends was very timely, as well as the Dryads started to pick away at whatever advantage those gargoyles were getting. Also, the fact that you're going wide with your army with because you're getting a lot of 2 supply units meant that those obsidian statues were often out of mana. I'm trying to think about what else I can remember in that matchup. Destroyers being able to devour magic, and it often felt like the Keeper of the Grove was just out of position. It was forced to use Scroll of Town Portals, Staff of Teleportation, and Moon just did not have control of his heroes, as you can obviously tell with 5 hero kills from WFZ. Overall resources, you can see that WFZ mined 5,000 gold less, but at the same time was still able to come out with the victory. So doing more with less is an optimal or is a good strategy as well. And I've said this: if your units are constantly running, then they're not actually getting you closer to victory, and they could be taking damage. And that's really what I thought the direction of the game was going. Moon with those Dryads just slowly taking apart those gargoyles, but yeah, in the end, the transition to Crypt Fiends was just in time, even though those Dryads were 2-2 upgraded. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.